Magazine in the house. Check us out on all social media platforms and freestylemusicmag.com. Today is an amazing day, man. I'll tell you why. We got a guest today, pioneer in South Florida with the music, the most amazing DJ you'll ever see and experience. If you've ever been to one of his shows and one of his Cafe 27's Freestyle Fridays, you will know the energy and the excitement. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, Mr. DJ Felix Sama.
What's going on, Frank? I call him Freestyle Frankie in the house. Thank you so much for that introduction, my brother. I appreciate the love and the support. And let me tell you, man, congratulations on all your success. You have really taken freestyle by storm ever since you got into the genre, and you're doing amazing things within the genre.
Well, listen, my brother, I couldn't do it without you, man, without people like yourself who is continuously out there in the forefront pushing the genre, pushing freestyle. Not just freestyle. You've also got R&B, you got the hip hop,
the Latin.
You've got a lot of stuff going on, my brother. And that's one of the things I'm amazed by how you move and what you do. Yeah. And I wanted to bring you on board today to talk about a couple of things.
Sure.
And it's gonna be I tell you right now, it's gonna be off the top, off the dome.
Yeah.
But it's conversations that I think needs to be had. But at the same time, you got so much going on, man.
You know, I just pride myself in not being one dimensional. You know what I mean? Because my love for different kinds of music. You know what I mean? So I always wanted to portray that within my productions. I wanted that to be a part of my personality and my DNA when it comes to the way I serve music to the people.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's go back for a second for those who have been living under a rock and don't know what you've accomplished in through life. How you first got started as a DJ, or did you first started in radio and then you became a DJ?
First got started as a DJ. Started DJing as a teenager, you know, in high school, and from there I developed my skills and went into radio.
Yeah, and nationality is what? What's your
I was born in Cuba.
Born in Cuba.
Yeah, I got Cuban, Chinese, African. You know what I'm saying? I'm Afro-Cuban, very proud. And we migrated to Chicago from Cuba.
So from Cuba, Chicago, how did you get to Florida?
My grandparents were already in Florida, you know, from Cuba. And when I was about 12, 13 years old, we decided that it was time to leave Chicago. It was too cold.
Okay.
And no, it was just my parents had some opportunities for employment and things of that nature. So they felt that it was a better place to raise their kids. You know, I lived in a pretty rough neighborhood in Chicago. I was on the south side, and they wanted a better lifestyle for us. You know, so we migrated over to Miami, and I went to Glen H. Curtis, which is right down the street from Miami Springs Senior High, and that's the elementary school that I attended before we moved to North Miami.
So I'm trying to put the timeline together. So when did you actually get influenced in the DJ in Chicago, or did you?
No, that happened here in Miami.
In Miami.
Yeah, happened when I was about in going to North Miami Senior High when I was about in 9th or 10th grade. Is when the music bug started to hit me.
Yeah.
And I used to hang around with a lot of New Yorkers, you know, kids that migrated down from New York to South Florida, because I just felt more of a bond with them because I was from Chicago and they kind of understood, like, you know, that whole northern vibe. And we just became friends, and then one had a turntable, I had a cassette deck, and before you know it, we're DJing on a cassette deck and a turntable. We're doing the pauses on the music that we're hearing on the radio, and it just evolved from there. You know, I went from, you know, doing cassette pausing to buying records and starting to play music and getting my first, you know, Gemini turntables, and slowly buying equipment. Got a gig with a friend of mine's that was a mobile DJ company called F&F Disco, and he showed me actually how to do mobile DJ work, you know, as far as like private events, bar mitzvahs and weddings and all of that. And he introduced me to the mobile DJ world. Scott Feldman.
Wow. And did you know at that time any of the part of that time, did
Yeah.
you know that you were going to build the brand that you've built today, the empire, if you will, that you built today under the
Yeah.
Felix Sama
I always
Entertainment
knew
brand?
that I had a passion for music. I didn't know where it was going to take me because there were so many different roads that you could take. You could be a radio DJ, you could be a club DJ, you could be a producer. So many things that you could focus on. So I wanted to kind of try a little bit of everything to see where Sama wanted to sit. And I really enjoyed my journey, I got to say.
So when did you turn your passion into a business? When was that day? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, it was from an early age, because we were also breakdancing at
Okay.
that time, and that's when I met Flex and Oz Rock. These are, pioneer b-boys from back in the day. And I actually turned breakdancing into a business early on. I would go to the temple
Mm.
with the
Wow.
Jewish kids, and I would teach them the thriller routine
Yeah.
and how to break dance. So that was a business for me early on when I was a teenager. And then the mobile DJ stuff, like I said, I started early on as well. So I kind of had that as a side business, a side hustle. I would do house parties along with the stuff that I would do for Scotty and his DJ company. So he kind of, showed me the ropes, and I started my own on the side.
Yeah, this is where it gets fascinating, ladies and gentlemen, because we mentioned breakdancing. Let's just start there,
Yeah.
right? So, uh, you're huge into the breakdancing.
Yeah.
You've made some huge moves in the breakdancing world, especially here in South Florida. You've created South Florida Hip Hop Foundations and things like that. Talk to me about the movement of hip hop in the dance world and how much you're involved in it and what you got going on in
Well, that's a long conversation, but I've always had a love for hip hop. From back in the day, working at Hot 105, from '85 to '90. Um, we uh, we had the opportunity to. I had the opportunity to work at a nightclub on South Beach. It was pretty much the first R&B and hip hop club on South Beach. It was called Fifth Street. That was back in 1990.
there. Nice.
Peter Thomas, who is a very popular personality, was one of the owners of this club. And no kidding, on Saturday nights we would get over 1,000 people there. It was a place to be. It
Yeah.
really was. It was a place to be. But I also used to do a mix show called the Monster Mix at 10 o'clock on Hot 105 from '85 to '90. I worked there before I went off to Full Sail Recording for the Arts to learn how to be a recording engineer. Um, and I've always had a love for hip hop, growing up back in the day, breaking and b-boying. And I had a love for freestyle. I had a love for house music. What I mean? That was just like anything that was grooving to me and filled my soul, I wanted to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? So I would go, to all the teen clubs, Allegros, Video Powerhouse, all of that, and I'd check out the DJs, see how they were spinning. I'd even, go to some of the adult clubs like Trade Winds in North Miami, and I would watch like Aldo Hernandez DJ, and then I would go back home and try to emulate what I saw because there was no YouTube
Wow. Yeah.
back then. So you
Yeah.
just had the memoria, you know what I
Right.
mean? You just had to, and then freak it out and kind of try to grab the 12 inches that you heard them play.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was a lot more work than just downloading a song on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Back in the day. So fast forward, I want to say about 5 years ago, Speedy Legs, a pioneer in the breakdancing game here in South Florida, he told me, listen, I'm looking for a partner to help me with the Pro-Am Dance and DJ Expo. You know my history. You know what I've done. You've been a part of some of my, expos. Would you partner up with me at the Pro-Am Dance, the convention that he does every year? And I thought about it, and I said, you know what, man, I still love breaking. I'm getting ready to retire from radio. Maybe this is a good transition for
Mm.
me, being the fact that that's really where I came from. It's my
Yeah.
roots. And I agreed to partner up with him, and we've been doing the Pro-Am now for, it's going to be our 4th year. I can't believe it. Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's really something that's been embedded in me for many years. Breaking has always been a part of me, and just to see where breaking is now
Hmm.
and how it has developed, not even evolved, developed into what it is now. These these guys are doing and girls are doing incredible feats. I think breaking needs a lot of help, financially. I think people don't realize that it's a sport now. And
Yeah.
we're our job, one of our jobs is to create the awareness that breakdancing is a sport and it's also an art form. And it should be appreciated and it should live in every school.
Yeah. It's funny that well, first of all, shout out to Speedy Legs. I mean, that brings also some credibility to the organization.
Yeah.
He's a pioneer. He's been around for a long time. And I would have the privilege to see him to grow in the sport itself. But what I find fascinating with the breakdancing is that it's evolved so much that it almost looks like gymnastics.
Yeah.
And because it looks more like gymnastics and the regular person can't do the flares or the 1990s, then it's now looked at is, and I'm thinking that probably the amount of dancers are a lower number because of the moves that are now being done. Like you literally have to be a gymnastic person in order to do breakdancing. And back in the days, it wasn't like that. Back in the days, it was the wave. It was something that you saw and almost anybody can do. The worm, back in the days. But
Yeah.
now, since it's at another level, I believe that it's taken away, and I'll get your opinion as well, but I think it's taken away from the overall masses that now people are like, oh, I can't do that, so therefore I'm not going to look at it. Oh, I can't do that, therefore I'm not interested in it. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
I think that you have a point, but at the same time, you have to look at it like a professional sport, right? So you have pro football and you have amateur football. Not everybody can be an NFL pro football player.
Yeah.
Very few get selected to be in that league.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with breaking. Very few will get selected to be on a breaking Olympic team, or as we hope, there will be a national televised breakdancing organization that'll live on an ESPN or an NBC Sport. So it's just classifications,
Yeah.
really, when you think about it. So let those kids aspire to be great breakdancers one day. Let's teach them if they're interested. Why not?
Yeah.
I think that's really what it's all about.
No, I agree, and it's a great point that you brought up as well. But like in the MMA world, in the mixed martial arts world, right? When mixed martial arts first came into the scene, it was looked at in a way where it was too violent. It was this, it was that. Of course, we all know the story. Dana White comes into the picture, gets with the Nevada State Boxing Commission, and starts putting rules and regulations, and now starts making it a sport, right? So same thing I think with breakdancing, right? Breakdancing, everybody looked at it like, oh, okay, great, it's a street thing.
Yeah.
And now that the organizations like yourself, like USA Breaking has organized breakdancing, and now it's become a business, if you will. It's now structured where dancers can now monetize off their talents. Where do you see, from a financial, from a sponsorship, from a business, from a network point of view, where do you see it growing, or do you see it growing any further from here?
Yeah, I do. I think it should be developed as a league. We can't be waiting every 4 years for the Olympics to highlight and spotlight breakdancing. Breakdancing needs to be spotlighted every single day, right? And I think that, and I'm not trying to downplay or discredit the B-boys and the B-girls that are out there, but they need to do a better job of their social media platforms. They're not putting enough effort into promoting themselves on their social platforms. If you look at a lot of the breakers that are out there that are doing it at a high level, they've got low numbers on their social platforms. That's something they need to work on, because this is how you get we know this. This is how you get endorsement deals, by having good numbers. That's what these, corporate 500, Fortune 500 companies are looking for. They're looking for, okay, what's his following look like? What's her following look like, man? At the end of the day, they could be the greatest break dancer in the world, and you may have some organic companies that'll be like, okay, that's all we need. As long as they're incredible, we're good with that. But then you have those other companies that are like, well, they only got 10,000 followers. Why should we, give them $50,000 of an endorsement deal?
Yeah.
So there's that speaks volumes. So I think they need to pay a little bit more attention to their social media. If they don't know how to do it, hire a marketer. Start off small. $100 budget, instead of going to Burger King and the movie theater.
Yeah.
50 times every 6 months. Do it. What I mean? Just budget yourself accordingly so you can invest in your brand, because that's what you are. You're a brand, and you need to invest in it, and you need to educate yourself so that you can be the best you can be.
Now, investing in brands, and I agree with everything you just said. In order to I always say, if you want to sit at the table, right, you got to make sure that you're coming prepared, and that you're consistent with your performances and all that good stuff. But how important is USA Breaking? Now, does USA Breaking, just for those who maybe want to join, or maybe want to see the website and see what it's all about, does all thing that you just said right now, is that leaded to the promoter's responsibility as well? Is USA Breaking a format in which, hey, they can join you guys, and then through that process, as they are partnering with you, that you help them with the social media? Is that something that USA Breaking does, or is it just an event and you're just looking for dancers, or are you building the culture as you go?
Yeah, we're still a young organization. We still have a lot of infrastructure that needs to be there before we can actually assist, with social media activations and things of that nature. I think right now what we're more about is creating the awareness, holding these events, and inviting the breakers, b-boys
Gotcha.
and b-girls, to come and be a part of
Gotcha.
not only the breaking, but also the graffiti, also the turntablism, also spoken word, whatever other infusions we can incorporate into our events, we try to do. We just had one over at Art Basel, and at the Museum of Graffiti, and it was incredible. We had over 700 people. You were there.
Oh man, it's
And it
amazing.
was a great turnout. We had spoken word, we had turntablism, we had the break-in.
Yeah.
Some of the best b-boys around the country came down.
Yeah.
So it was that's really what it's all about. We want to celebrate the elements of hip hop.
Awesome, man. I
Yeah,
did go. Let me tell you, it was an amazing time. It
yeah.
was incredible.
I want to be able to do that all
Oh
the
man.
time, but mira, papo,
Yeah, yeah, I got you.
necesitamos el dinero,
I
bro.
got you.
That's
Hopefully,
what it is.
hopefully after this podcast, you give out your information. People want to reach out to you,
Yeah, we
and
need help,
definitely invest.
guys. It's not for us. We need help so that we can do these activations and
Yeah,
be able to fly these athletes in and really put on a show, man.
yeah. No, and you definitely guys put on a show. I was amazed by the talent, but also the professionalism within running the show.
Yeah,
You did an amazing job from beginning to end. Like, the experience for me was probably more than just watching the event happen. I mean, from the moment you walk in, you feel the excitement to
yeah,
the moment you leave, and that's something that you can't put a value to that. I mean,
yeah,
it's an experience that when you walk away, you're like, man, when is the next one?
yeah.
When is the next
You
one?
leave an impact on everybody that attends,
Yeah,
whether he's 5 years old or 50 years old. You're leaving an impact. Imagínate, a 50-year-old guy that's a 9 to 5 or whatever, and he used to break dance back in the day. You know how happy that guy is
yeah,
right now that he's seen that the art form, and now it's a sport. That's exhilarating for somebody like that. And then for a little kid to see that and be like, oh, I want to do that one day, and now the parents are looking for breakdancing schools in their area. That's why we got to infuse
yeah.
those programs so these kids can learn the things that they love to see.
Where can they go to check out more about USA Breaking?
You can go to www.usabreaking.org. That's our official
Okay.
website. And then we have all our social media platforms at USA Breaking.
Awesome. Another thing I love about you, brother, is that everything you do is kind of like you put that silver touch to it, right? You add more value to any event that you partner up with, right? And not everybody can do that. Not everybody do. You have a certain style and a certain way of doing business to where you really appreciate the fans. I think you come from a point where if you can't experience it yourself, then I don't think you're gonna put out that product, which is great
Yeah,
because it definitely says a lot about you. But what I noticed at the Wynwood event over there at the Graffiti Museum was that you brought in a lot of stars, superstars. Everybody was there. Everybody wanted to feel that experience, and freestyle, the freestyle community, the Mias, the Company Bs, and all those people also went there. So what impact do you think hip hop had on freestyle? If we want to go change subjects to the freestyle community, how much of an impact did you think that made on the freestyle community? Because they were there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can only speak for myself, and you know, hip hop and freestyle go hand in hand for me. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Because when I was working on Power 96, you know, back in 1990 to 2002 was my, you know, my stench over there, and we would do hip hop sets, we would do freestyle sets, we would do booty music sets. You know what I mean? And always found a way to incorporate that within the night. You know, like you would go to Roxy nightclub in Fort Lauderdale. We would start off doing a 15, 20 minute hip hop set, and then would transition into a freestyle set and then turn into a bass set. It was kind of like the progression for the night.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of the kids and the young adults from the 90s, they grew up listening to Power 96, which played hip hop, freestyle, and booty music. Those were the three dominant genres at that station. So I think it's just like part of the DNA structure of how we grew up and what we listened to, and what we played as DJs and what we programmed as radio programmers on the air.
Wow. You know, it's a great transition from hip hop to freestyle, and let's get into it, man. Let's get into it because I want to hear your side of the story. I want to hear.
Well, I'm not a historian, but I'll
Yeah.
tell you what I know. That's all I can do.
Let's
Yeah.
start from there. Let's start from
Yeah.
there. Let's see if we can figure this thing out. So
Yeah, because then please,
Yeah.
don't ask me
Is this
what
the
was the
disclaimer?
first freestyle record. Do not ask me that. I refuse to answer
you
that.
you plead the fifth. You plead the fifth. Well, let's talk about the transition because history has it, right?
Yeah.
That Africa Bambaataa
Uh-huh.
was the man who started the sound of it, right?
Yeah,
So Africa Bambaataa is now looked at as hip hop, right? It's
I
not,
think it's more like Arthur Baker.
right. So
Yeah,
so Arthur Baker came in once Africa Bambaataa, you know, took the sound, if you will,
Yeah.
right? From another group over there in Germany, Kraftwerk, right? So the sound was already there. Africa Bambaataa took it. The story goes that, you know, that they knocked on the door and they wanted their money. So Arthur Baker came in and took that sound and just enhanced it and made it into that freestyle sound, right? Joe Roby came in as well. And then from that became freestyle, right? Now that's all documented, right? Everybody
Yeah.
knows Arthur Baker, everybody knows Joe Roby. And so hip hop already started. But what's fascinating to me is that Play at Your Own Risk, Planet Rock, right? Africa Bambaataa. It's not considered freestyle. Or is it considered? Let's start there. Is
yeah.
that considered freestyle?
Not really. It's not really considered freestyle.
Right.
You
I
know.
don't think so.
Yeah.
I didn't
No.
think
It's more of a hip hop,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
track than it is a freestyle
Yeah.
track.
So we could say that freestyle.
There's no singing really in it when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so we could say freestyle came from that sound of the African Bambaataa sound.
Oh yeah, it's been sampled. Planet Rock has been sampled. One of the most sampled songs in freestyle.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. I mean, that's common knowledge.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that I like to look into as the data guy, you know, the stats guy myself, I see freestyle in a different light. I see freestyle that for 35 years, like, first of all, no one's had a magazine in 35 years. We come up with a magazine, and it's like, my question is, well, how come it took so long, right? Same thing with the way you structure freestyle, right? I don't think there's any structure in freestyle at all.
There isn't.
There's none. So
No.
when we talk about Africa Bambaataa and we talk about all these things, these elements in freestyle, I look at what's going on in freestyle as far as concerts are concerned, right? There's a concert almost every day in freestyle somewhere around the world, but you'll never see an African Bambaataa on the card of a freestyle.
Well, that's for many reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, but one of the main reasons is there's a lot of negative publicity with Africa Bambaataa right now.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. We
due
won't-
to allegations. So
Yeah.
that's one of the main reasons that you won't
Yeah.
see Africa Bambaataa, because we did try to bring him down for an event, and we got a lot of backlash.
Okay. I know that uh, Louis C, the mayor in Key West. Shouts out to Louis C. He put on Planet Patrol uh, on the card with Shannon and other great artists as
Yeah.
well. Where do you see Planet Patrol in freestyle,
Wow.
or do you?
They're in the same category as Africa Bambaataa. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
they're just as prominent as them. You know, Play at Your Own Risk was a huge record in South
Yeah.
Florida. I mean, it was right there with Planet Rock. You know, I remember, going to the skating rinks and going to some of the teen clubs. And I'll be honest with you, if not bigger than Planet Rock,
Wow.
because it had a little bit more instrumentation
Yeah.
to it, and a little bit more singing. You know what I mean? So I would say it was neck and neck, man. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I tell you, Louis C, shouts out to him. He did an amazing show. It was packed, and he does his things in Key West, and he's done amazing things in pushing the genre as well, pushing freestyle, pushing the hip hop. But Planet Patrol did an amazing job. I mean, but I think it's the way the promoter promotes it and how the theme goes, right? So you'll see some of the shows go freestyle shows, and then you'll see back to the 80s. And if you're back to the 80s, Planet Patrol was back in the 80s, then yeah, it fits the
Decade,
theme,
yeah.
the theme of that event. So probably people are listening and saying, well, Frank, it was an 80s event. It wasn't really a freestyle event. That's why they were on there. I get it. But you're associating it, right, with the freestyle genre. Like 90% of the card is normally the freestyle artists that we know today. What do you think about South Florida, since you're a huge part of the movement in South Florida? You've been a pioneer for so many years. You started Freestyle Fridays on Cafe 27,
Yeah.
DJ Simon Entertainment. It's a huge success, But as I look into the data of all Freestyle Fridays, it's not something brand new. Everybody's been doing Freestyle Fridays for a while now, but it just has been recently, I say in the last 6 months, that we've been on board with the magazine, that there's a freestyle in Broward, in Dade, in North Miami. I mean, why now? Why do you think?
Well, first, let's go back to what your comment was about the lineup of artists, in different places. So the way if we talk about what a freestyle concert should consist of, if it should just be all freestyle artists, or should you sprinkle in some hip hop or any other style of genre? What makes a perfect freestyle lineup? Is that something that you might want to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, to me, I think that if you have a freestyle lineup, you're not doing wrong by adding a little bit of hip hop, by adding a little bit of bass to it. And I'll give you a perfect example. One of the most successful promoters out right now is Alan Beck. If you look at the Freestyle Explosion show lineups that he does, for the most part, he always incorporates like a Rob Bass, a Montel Jordan, a 69 Boys, a tag team, along with the rest of the super talent in the freestyle world. And that combination, that playlist works well for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing it. So if I were to do a freestyle concert, I would definitely sprinkle in a little bit of hip hop. I would definitely sprinkle in a little bit of bass. And for somebody to say, oh, well, that's not really freestyle. Bullshit. Freestyle is whatever you make it and what you want it to be. Okay, it's a freestyle concert because the reason why is because most of the artists on that lineup are freestyle, and you're just sprinkling in some more flavor so that you can attract other people that may not love freestyle, but like it enough that they'll go and attend to see the other groups that are going to be there as well.
So you think it's a strategy, though? It's more of a strategy.
It's a strategy, but at the same time, I think that it should be a norm for me.
Yeah. Well, let's go even closer to home. Let's take out from a page out of book of Charlie Rodriguez. Charlie Rodriguez Live Entertainment. He has a show coming up March 23rd at the Miramar Amphitheater, at the Regional Park, the amphitheater over there. His lineup, which is huge, which is probably over 13, 14 artists.
Yep.
That lineup has your icons, your Cynthias, your Coros, your George Lamons, your Judy Torres, your Seabanks, but also has Lime, also has John Hooker, also has the Flirts,
Yep.
also has LaBouche.
Yeah.
So, and Snap, I mean, he's definitely mixed it in there with freestyle, quote unquote freestyle, and your 80s, I believe, or I don't know what classifies Snap or LaBouche. I don't know if it's house. I don't know if it's EDM, but
Yeah, it's kind of like the Euro housey type of vibe.
yeah. So that mixture, do you think here in South Florida, that mixture is a good card? Is a good
Absolutely. We
good
grew up
move?
with all that. I mean, when we played that on Power 96, La Bouche, Mr. Vane, all that stuff was like, that happy house stuff vibe.
Yeah.
We played all of that. So South Floridians grew up to Snap, La Bouche, and all those groups that had a higher BPM type of house sound. And yeah, man, it's definitely in line with what a lineup should look like.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
tell you what, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and
Can't wait to
Snap's
go.
got the power. That's more of a hip hop track. So
Yeah, no,
there you go.
it's gonna be
You
amazing.
know.
It's gonna be amazing.
And
event.
plus, Charlie's known for that. He does more freestyle than anything, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's what Miami grew up on. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with doing a whole freestyle lineup.
Right.
What I'm saying is, if you sprinkle other genres in there, that's okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't cancel that to be a freestyle concert.
Yeah. What about because he's doing it at the Miramar Regional Park that venue
Yeah.
holds. Hopefully he'll
About
pack up
5,000, yeah.
about 5,000, 6,000.
Yeah.
What do you think the number is here in South Florida? If you had to put a number to it, how many fans, the most fans we have in South Florida, what do you think that number would be? If you had to put a
Well, it
number,
depends
put
on-
put you on the spot.
Yeah, not really. Because what are you really asking me? Are you asking me how many people are going to attend? How many people that got comp ticket? What
Yeah,
are you
so
asking?
so let's say there was an event in November, right? Last November.
Yeah.
Well, we know.
Well, there
that-
was an event last November
right
with
at the Hard Rock.
at the Hard Rock
Yeah.
with Vito, right?
Right,
Yeah,
with
and
Vito.
he did about 5,000, right?
Over 5,000.
Yeah.
5,496
Yeah.
to be exact.
Yeah.
But so now we know that number. We
Yeah.
know 5,000, and
I
depending
think
on
Charlie will get close to that.
yeah,
I think so.
most definitely. So
Yeah.
do you think overall? So here's how I look at it. We got Charlie who did his last event, which was August 24th, I believe, at Jungle Island.
Uh-huh.
Right, he pulled in 2,000 only because the venue held 2,000. Right.
Yeah.
He couldn't go anymore. As a matter of fact, I remember people walking in the door and like, "Hey, I need a seat."
Yeah.
So it was packed.
Yeah.
But so that's 2,000 there, and then Vito puts on a show at the Hard Rock, and he brings over 5,500 to be a number. And so we know that 5,500 people will show up for a show.
Yeah.
Do you think that do you think we can get to 6,000? Do you think that there's enough for 6,000?
Of course we can get to Frankie. The numbers already been done. If you go to last year's Freestyle Explosion show, I don't know if it got to 6,000, but the year prior to that, it did get over 6,000. So it's already been proven
Yeah.
that that number can be a
Yeah.
realistic number.
So that's where I'm fascinated by, right? So
Yeah.
there is a cap, right? Just like in MMA.
Yeah.
And, you do local shows, you get a local number.
Yeah.
UFC comes to down, which they came on last weekend, and 17,000 people show up.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So first, when you do a local shows, you're getting 6,000. You do a major big show at a major arena, you get 17,000. Right? So there's that gap in which people are saying, listen, I'm not gonna go to the local ones, but when a big show comes on, I'll show up. Kind of like the Super Bowl or any
Yeah.
championship match, right? You
Mhm.
always go to that. So I'm seeing that in freestyle here in Florida. I think our cap is 6,000. I think that's all we're
You're
going
probably
to get.
right. You're probably right.
And should it be more though? Should it be more? Are
Well,
we
it
saying
may be more, but there's just too many freestyle shows.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And that waters down the attendance
Mm,
when you think about it, because how many times can you see George Lamont in 1 year?
yeah, yeah. Okay, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're like, okay, then now they have to pick and choose. Lo vamos a ver en abril o lo vamos a ver en septiembre. You
That's
know what I mean? ¿Para
yeah.
qué tú quieres ver el mismo tipo, dos veces? Maybe if you're a real fan, you will, pero coño, ¿hasta cuándo?
Yeah, that's true too.
You know what I mean?
That's true too. Well, going back on making sure that freestyle was organized, what we decided to do was create freestylemusicevents.com, right?
Yeah,
So freestylemusicevents.com is the only website out there, first of all,
yeah,
that has every single freestyle event that you can go to listed on the website.
yeah,
Now, as we go through the calendar, and it's user friendly, it's a one-stop shop type thing. You look at what you want, you click on it, it takes you straight to the ticket page. It has a flyer there, all the information. So it's that one-stop shop.
yeah,
Which I think freestyle needed. I think freestyle needed some port to say, hey, where can we go to in order to figure out what's really going on in freestyle? And to your point, you are absolutely right when you're saying it's saturated, because if you look at the calendar now, there must be about 20 shows
yeah,
for the month of March.
yeah.
And it's great for the artists, for it to, so they can stay relevant and keep working. But to the point, it is getting saturated. But how do we explain Freestyle Fridays being so packed every single time?
Because
Like,
it's good.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm sure
It's
it is.
it's a great experience. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that people, bro. When you're doing, especially when you're doing this freestyle thing, it's all about credibility. I've already put in the fucking work.
Yes, you
You
did.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, you did.
I've got over 35 years of playing, freestyle along with other genres, and people hearing me on the radio.
Yeah.
They know that when they come to a Felix Sama freestyle party, my man is gonna put it down.
That's freaking amazing.
I'm gonna be fucking sweating my balls off
Yeah.
to make sure you're dancing your ass off all night long. So the credibility is there. Now it's just a matter of if they can make it, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at, and we want to do bigger. This is only the first one for me, and we want to do bigger ones. But right now, the first of the month, for the most part, sometimes we have to do it on the second Friday of the month. But you can count on Cafe 27 being a destination for freestyle.
No, that's awesome. I'm gonna tell you, every single time I go, man, any of your shows, brother, you throw down.
I
there's-
love what I
it's
do, man.
crazy how you get the crowd up in their feet and they're just going wild. I mean, to me, that's a talent. Like, you just
Yeah.
can't. You got to feel the crowd. You got to see where they're coming from. But you do an amazing thing. But not only are you doing the events and the clubs and everything else that you do, but you also got a podcast with Stevie B himself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called Freestyling with Stevie B. It airs Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can get it on all podcast platforms. I'm talking Podbeam. I'm talking Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the platforms, and also on Stevie B's Facebook page. On my Facebook page, we air it. And I haven't loaded all the episodes on YouTube, but pretty soon all the episodes will be up on Freestyling with Stevie B YouTube.
Awesome, man. I checked that out. My favorite episode though is the one, that guy that you had on there.
Yeah, that Frank Morejon guy. Yeah,
man, he's talking about the magazine or
something
something
else, man. That guy,
Brother,
boy,
man, that
that's
guy
right.
had me on my chair.
Yeah, I think
man.
he's related to Scarface.
He
so-
probably is. I don't know. We gotta figure that out. Hopefully, you see him again on the board.
So just the DJ. Are we about to wrap up?
Yes.
Okay,
that's-
DJ entertainment company. Blah blah blah. We can end with all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So amazing to me, man. You're doing almost everything that lifts up the genre, lifts up the music. Tell me about DJ. You got your own entertainment company, right?
Yeah.
So DJ Sama Entertainment.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about that. Where can they find you? What's next? What's going on? What's the calendar look like?
It's www.djsamaent.com. That's the website. You can also find it on all the social platforms, Facebook, IG, TikTok, so on and so forth. Basically, we're a one-stop shop. We have over 10 DJs that do all different genres of music. So whether you're having a Latin get-together, you're having a corporate event, you're doing a concert and you need entertainers, dancers, musicians, we're a one-stop shop. So, definitely holla at me. Obviously, I can't do all the events, so I've got my team, and we are well-equipped and have the credibility to make sure that we party rock your shit to the fullest.
Awesome, my brother. Listen, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly
Oh,
appreciate
it's my
it,
pleasure,
man.
man.
It is
Always.
always amazing to talk to you, man, and see you moving out there. We'll definitely be at the next Cafe 27, checking you out there.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, I just want to say, what's up to everybody that, has supported DJ Sama throughout the years. Anything that you need from me, I'm easy to get at. Always find the greatness within yourself, and God bless you and your family.
Awesome. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen. Freestyle Music Magazine.
out.
We out.